part 2. All right, so we've got 2 more of our citation practice examples to cover off. I want to look at indirect citations, and I want to look at citations with 2 authors. So we'll start with indirect. They're also sometimes called secondary citations, and even just to be kind of funky or cool or nerdy, I call them meta citations. And basically what it is you're looking at one of the articles. Let's take a look at the this one here. This article is from Czech News, actually, or CTV News, and it's talking about, from the kind of the industry perspective, about how it's been a really tough couple of years, and in particular a tough year for forestry. Now let's say that we wanted to talk about something that is actually quoted by one of our expert speakers in this article. So we can see that David Elfstone here, who is an executive director for the BC Loggers, the Truck Loggers Association. Let's just grab this paragraph and carry it over. Now, I really don't advise that as a strong strategy, but this way we can just put it directly where we want it. And I'll talk a little bit about what we need to do here. So basically what a secondary or indirect citation is this is when you are citing someone who was quoted in your source. Okay, so you're going to use the name of the speaker. In this case, it's Elfstone in the subject position. Back again into the past tense to indicate that a paraphrase is coming. So now here comes the tricky part. You need a special little chunk of language, and this is what indicates that you are doing a secondary citation. That's the marker. As cited in. Now we need to go back and look at the article again, and we need to find who the author was. So it's Messner, and it was published in 2020. And we're pulling our chunk of language off of page 2. So Messner, let's go back here. And I'm just going to double check the spelling. As I've mentioned before, I have a mild case of dyslexia, so sometimes I get things wrong. So I always double check. See, yes, I put an I in the wrong spot, or I missed an I. So we always double check the details. See, isn't that interesting? That's a very clear example of the old mild dyslexia there, where your eye thinks it should be somewhere, but it actually belongs somewhere else. But you know what? That's why we double check everything. Now let's show what I mean about building out your analysis of that board information. Good, so you'll notice again, past tense indicates, hey, this is a paraphrase. Then I've done my proper indirect citation. So in any of the articles that we have used so far to help us learn about this topic, the idea of old growth forests and the logging industry, if you want to borrow something that someone actually said, like a quote, like of one of the chiefs of the Kwakiutl Band or of any of those foresters who are experts who wrote the report, you can actually use them as experts. The way you do it, you put them into the subject position, then your signal verb goes in the past, then you paraphrase their words into your own voice. use the same paraphrasing strategies we talked about in our part 1 video. Use synonyms, change the sentence structure. Remember, if you are doing one of these indirect citations or meta citations, you need to include the little marker phrase, as cited in. Then you put the author of our article, the date. Oh, did you notice the mistake here? I forgot my comma. If I'd done that in my essay, that would have been a quarter-point deduction because I'd missed one of the citation details. Now when we move into our analysis, we switch into the present tense. This tells me, the marker, very clearly, aha, we've moved into our analysis. This shows that logging is already suffering, and this predicts that it is a time, it is a good, it is a, let's get this right here. This is why we reread, because we might have missed a word. And even with just that micro soak time, I'm able to catch some of my mistakes. And this predicts that it is a good time for a change. We must upgrade the intelligence of how we manage our resources. So these two sentences here are my analysis of my borrowed information. Excellent. Okay, so we are moving on rapidly and with bold energy to complete the last of our responsibilities here, which is looking at a citation with two authors. So I'm going to go back here. In fact, we might actually need to go all the way to our actual web page here to look at. This is our, let's go back to module 1A. And I want to actually open up the strategic review, because this strategic review is probably the best chunk of information that we have here. Okay, so what we're looking for is we want to grab the authors. Oh, there's the date, it's 2020. Let's remember that. Okay, here are our authors, Gorley and Merkel. So let's go back here to our working document. So again, Gorley and Merkel, 2020, asserted that invoking and learning from indigenous experts is crucial to responsible management of old growth forests. And so then we're going to have to go back to the source again. Notice how I'm just kind of playing leapfrog back and forth. There they are. And that's my big friend, the massive Doug in Cathedral Grove. And we're just going to scroll down until we find the recommendations section. And I've kind of previewed this so I know where I'm heading. Okay, recommendations. So we can see here, boom, first and foremost, engage full involvement of Indigenous leaders and organizations to review the support and any subsequent policy and strategy developments for implementation. What page is that on? Page 15. Booyah, we are almost there. Okay, page 15, and there we go. Now, what if we wanted it to be a non-integral citation? The O. So that's the report name, right? So I've just put this into a totally unique paraphrase. But the reason I wanted to do it again was to highlight the difference between the two methods here when we have two authors. And that is that when you put those authors into the integral position, you will write out the word and. Date goes here, signal verb in the past tense, page marker at the end. If you put them non-integrally, you can use the symbol for and, which is called the ampersand symbol. Good. I'm just going to double check the spelling of their names because that's the way I am. I'm a very detail-oriented person, as I've mentioned. And this is a proper practice to always double check, right? Gorley, Merkel, Gorleymerkel. Yes, yes, okay. Excellent. Okay, so those are the practices for doing citations that I want you to review in order to have proper citations in your in-class essays. Wonderful work, everyone. Best of luck with your review,